Good evening. Commissioner Abedisian here, starting the calling to order. This is Strategic Planning Committee special meeting Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. Just want to say this runs about 2 hours or a little more, a little less maybe. Let's see what happens. And there's a lot of good information, so I think this is a good idea. I think we have one more of these informational forums to do, and then we are at least done with that part. Move on to public comment related to agenda items. Anyone online interested in saying anything? Anyone out in the forum want to say anything? No? Okay, I'm just checking to make sure. All right, thank you. Number 3. We have 2 items on number 3. It just got dropped off by mistake. We have approval of the meeting of March 8th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Adoption.
I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Yep. Okay. Second one is approval of the meeting minutes of March 21st, 2023.
Move adoption. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstention. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 2. Well. Next, report 2003. Barrington Wells Management Study Update. We have finance, procurement, and customer service. So with that.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kelly Shane. I'm honored to serve as the district's Chief Administrative Officer. Just for a background, I spent the last 9 years here, 5 of them as your procurement director, starting in 2014, and promoted to Chief Administrative Officer in 2019. Prior to the district, I had been a U.S. Navy civilian contracting officer for 18 years, and also stood up the business operations at Access Health Connecticut prior to joining the district. As CAO, I oversee the business support departments, finance, information technology, procurement, and customer service. And over the past several weeks, you have learned a great deal about our operational departments, and I am very pleased to have many of our business staff here, probably more than you've seen before, because we don't have as good of show and tell items as you might get from operations, so we brought the people instead. We're excited for you to learn about who we are and what we do in support of the district. So I'm going to run through the agenda real quickly so we all know where we are, and I will try, Commissioner, to do this in 2 hours, but we have a lot of moving pieces and parts here. This is where the magic happens.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So I'm going to introduce our management team, share with you an overview of 3 of the study recommendations. The most important to me: reorganization of the district, or the district departments, the business process improvements, which I know you're all well aware of SAP. I'm going to highlight for you our business transformation project and our now group that oversees business enablement, our business enablement team, which came about from our business transformation project. And then each department, finance, procurement, customer service, and my own staff. I have a few staff of my own. Payroll is a very integral part. Scott would say payroll is the most important position in the company. And then I'll just wrap it up. So you'll hear from a lot of people today, but unfortunately you'll be with me for a few minutes while I go over the overview here. So the district is very lucky to have an exceptional management team here for the business departments, not only running the day-to-day business support, but also assisting me in planning the future state as well. Kim Haynes, and I'm going to ask, as I introduce people, to stand up or wave to the commissioners in the room. Kim Haynes is our customer service manager. She's been with the district for over 30 years. I know it's hard to believe. She looks so young, and has worked in the customer service department for her entire career. She actually started at the district as an intern out of college, and has been promoted to every position within customer service throughout her career. It's an amazing career, and Kim will be sharing her department with you later in the presentation. Bob Barron, our Chief Financial Officer, was hired by the district more recently in 2021 and brought with him decades of experience in municipal finance. He has been such a great addition to the district and has worked with his managers and staff to really bring finance to a new level of support for the organization. Bob, together with his managers and the staff, will share with you all of their many responsibilities. Bob Schwarm is our Director of IT. He was hired by the district soon after myself in 2015 and has literally transformed the breadth and depth of our IT department in so many ways. So many so that he has his own presentation in 2 weeks instead of presenting under this group. It's just too much information to share, and we'd be here for at least 3 hours. So we don't want to do that. Bob has had a distinguished career in IT, beginning with the Marines, the private industry, the healthcare industry, and his cybersecurity expertise is second to none. And they'll be sharing a lot of that information with you in 2 weeks. And Lisa Madison, Manager of Procurement. Put your hand up, please. A little low. She's the newest member to our management team. We originally hired Lisa from the U.S. Postal Service Regional Contracting Center in 2015 as a contract specialist. Her years of public contracting experience have been a driving force in the department since then. Lisa was recently promoted to manager last year and is doing an outstanding job in her role, and she'll be sharing an overview of what our procurement department does, and she even has a video show and tell that I think you're all going to enjoy. So the first recommendation from the management study from 2003 is really how they had recommendations for how to reorganize the district. I think we have evolved over many years since 2003. And I just wanted to show kind of the evolution of that. We reorganized our departments from a business services perspective. Our organization has evolved from more of a decentralized service focus to a centralized service focus. You can go to the next slide. To illustrate this, this was in 2008, and I highlighted in red the PMU department. That was a department within a department. So the CEO had a COO responsible for water and sewer operations and facilities. The CAO had a different mix of departments, including HR, IT, EH&S, customer service, engineering, and construction. Then there was this PMU unit that was actually put together to support the Clean Water Project, if I understood that correctly. And within that PMU department, and it was probably necessary at the time, but they kind of created their own organization within our organization with their own finance, their own hiring, their own procurement grouping. And so they were kind of a siloed organization, if you will. And then our CFO had finance and procurement. Fast forward to today, we have a more streamlined organization under the CEO. We have the COO, Chris Levesque, who manages the operations, the engineering departments, and the facilities departments. I manage the business, under the CAO, the business operations, the support units to the company. And Chris and I work really hard to ensure our staff collaborate. We have centralized oversight through our managers and directors for each department, and we continue to grow and learn from each other's organizations. I'm just going to take a sip of water. The second recommendation that I really wanted to focus on with you all, because you're very familiar with SAP and all the discussions, those of you who have been here a long time are very familiar with the discussions about SAP. It was our operating system that we implemented, I think, originally in 1999. And we didn't do much care and feeding and upgrading to that system for several years. In 2015, thereabouts, we got together as a group and started planning re-implement. We ended up having to re-implement SAP, and we went live in January of 2020. But business process improvements through system automation, Lean Six Sigma teams, and system data cleansing efforts are what continue to drive our efficiencies, allowing us to keep our costs down every year, which allows us to keep our rates competitive for our district customers. No project has been more impactful than this business transformation project. While it took several years to plan, we did go live, and we had to re-implement, like I said, the SAP system. We have an ongoing application management support team now. We contracted with them once we went live with a company called Utegration, who supports all of our business groups in maintaining and enhancing our system. But one of the results of the implementation of our SAP, we updated and modernized our SAP system, which hadn't been upgraded in the 20 years. We streamlined and provided the district with enhanced functionality across all work streams, which you're going to learn about from staff shortly. We cleansed our customer data and a lot of other data we had in the system. And it was a monumental project. But we didn't want to stop once the re-implementation project was successful. We had better functionality. You're going to hear a lot about that as we go along. But we also established a business enablement team. Many of the individuals here were on our business transformation project, and we wanted to, and I remember the audit committee saying to me when we presented that we had this new system and it was working well, but there was a lot more to go. This was a foundation, and we needed to continue to enhance. You said, please do not stop caring and feeding the system. So we haven't. Instead, we established the business enablement team. So with the SAP system and business process knowledge gained through the BT project, we developed this team of our own staff who actually, work full-time in their regular job and part-time on this job. That was supposed to get a laugh, right? So we have our own staff who had worked on the BT project, and we set it up so that we had project managers for the business process improvements, the technology, the system application itself, the data, and then we have work streams, and every work stream lead is here for our customer relations and billing group, our work stream, our enterprise assets management work stream, our finance work stream, and our HR and capital management, which includes payroll as well. So this team was put together to ensure that we continue to improve the business, we improve the IT infrastructure under it, and we continue to run the business. So it's a big commitment by our staff, and they are great at it, and I'm going to share a little information about what we've been able to do. I wanted to take the opportunity while we're here to actually introduce the entire BET team, some of whom you will hear from directly today. When I call you, could you stand up, please? Mary Manning is our business process lead. Mary is a professional engineer and project manager working in the technical services department. She has over 35 years experience, including 10 here at the district. Donna Paramizavam, I knew I was going to screw that up, I'm sorry, is our technology lead. Donna has been with the district for almost 6 years and is responsible for day-to-day maintenance and support for the SAP applications, and also for the technical planning and execution of our new SAP initiatives. Prior to working with the district, Donna was a SAP consultant with many years of SAP application infrastructure experience. Carol Magner is our data lead. If you want to know anything about data in our system, you can ask Carol. Carol was hired by the district in 2014 as an accounting administrator. Her responsibility was for the SAP data and reporting improvements. Carol is a certified management accountant with 5 years of prior SAP data management experience within the manufacturing industry. In her role, Carol works with all departments in the cleansing of existing data, developing financial as well as exception reporting. And then our 5 work stream leads. For HCM, which is Human Capital Management and Payroll, we have Griselda Rodriguez, our payroll administrator, Olga Cordova, our HR manager. Griselda has been with the district for about 3 years and came to us from a municipal public utility. Olga has been with the district for 15 years as first an HR generalist and now an HR manager. These 2 ladies work tirelessly with our AMS provider to update the payroll module, to fix things that go wrong. We have a weekly payroll. And so they work, I would say, the first 2 or 3 days of the week processing that payroll, and then that last 2 trying to work on enhancements and improvements. For finance, Nefertiri has been with the district. Nefertiri Winningham has been with the district since 2014. She started her career here within the Utility Services Department as an administrative clerk, and in 2019 was promoted to finance as a budget analyst. A little later, she'll be sharing with you all the great work our finance team has accomplished and is working on in BT. For enterprise asset management, Dinesh Patel. Dinesh has been an engineer with the district, and prior to the district with CRRA, a total of 22 years. Is that correct? He is currently a construction manager and works on the paving program, the sewer repair program, as well as being the lead on BET for operations, enterprise asset management team. For materials management, I was going to introduce Cliff Akerley. He's a contract specialist with our procurement department, but he unexpectedly couldn't be here. So I will share his business enablement team info for the procurement department later. And last but certainly not least, Pat Hogan. For our customer relations and billing work stream, Pat has been a customer service rep for the past 10 years here at the district. He's worked on the BT project and now the BET team for the last 5 years, and is our go-to resource for changes and automation of customer billing, our coordination with our AMS provider, as well as Kubra, our payment provider, and our bill presentment provider. He'll be sharing our BET efforts during the customer service presentation. So I want to thank everyone here for coming to be part of the presentation. Please know that your continued support to the district is very much appreciated. This team and their enterprise collaboration efforts affect real and positive change, allowing us to do more with less. Just to give you an idea of the amount of service tickets, we use an IT system, a very structured IT system for our changes, our breaks, our issues that we have with with our SAP operating system. We processed since we went live in 2020, we have processed over 4,494 tickets through March 30th of this year. This is a snapshot of 2022. We shared this with Scott. We had 99 tickets carried forward by each of the work streams. These represent, again, issues, tickets, access to the system, and we received an additional 645 in 2022, and they were able to close 657 of those tickets and move forward 87 into this year, 2023. It's an amazing amount of workload when you think of all the work that these folks are doing in their day job to be able to continue to care and feed the system. I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud of this group. So the last recommendation I just wanted to touch on in the overview is succession planning. I know you've heard this from Scott before, but I will reiterate that our responsibilities as managers and directors is to find our successor. Our focus, especially in our business areas, but across the enterprise really, our management focus has been providing staff with as many internal promotional opportunities as possible. We provide a lot of on-the-job training. We find potential in our staff. We encourage further education. Just as a side note, on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see that we've been able to, as we've gone along over the years, and this is just my departments, the CAO departments, but we've been able to, at least in the last 4 years, promote as many people from within as we've hired from the outside. To me, that's really important because it shows that we're investing in our staff and we're making sure that they have the career path necessary to meet all of our changing needs on a day-to-day basis. So finding new talent when necessary. Of course, we have to find new talent. Our directors, Bob Barron and Bob Schwarm, are perfect examples of that talent that we needed at the time to support our finance organization, and Bob, our IT department, and we brought them in from outside. But today's managers, underneath them, our middle managers, are mostly internal promotions, and that we're very proud of. We also utilize the professional level trainee position. We have 2 individuals currently who came in as EE3 EE1, I believe, professional associates, and have graduated both to positions within Jim Dignati in procurement as a procurement specialist and JP Avenoso as a senior administrative analyst within our financial control department. We also utilize the college internship program. I know IT takes advantage of that every year and gets great applicants, usually from the University of Connecticut, right? And so it's a great opportunity for kids to get that level of expertise and us to develop people that may end up working at the district someday. So succession planning for us is key to doing more with less, and we spend a lot of time planning and for that. And lastly, our business departments represent only 15% of the total MDC employee population. Over the past decade and a half or so, we've still been able, with all that we have done, we've still been able to reduce our headcount in these in our business areas from 76 to 66 employees. That's a successful reduction in footprint by 10 positions. How did we do that? Through technology and automation, process improvements, job consolidation, retirements, hires, and promotions, and BET, breaking down those silos, working to support the organization through collaboration, process improvement teams, and training. Are there any questions before we move on to? Yes, sir.
You mentioned tickets. What do you mean by tickets? Explain the tickets in detail.
So we have a very robust ticketing system. It's a software that we use to identify issues or enhancement requests or access requests to our SAP system. In payroll, we may come across a situation where somebody isn't being paid correctly. So there's a glitch, there's a problem. We have to send a ticket into the ticketing system, which gets reviewed and prioritized and dealt with. And we do that on a continuous basis every day.
Thank you.
So if I may, just to simplify the BET team.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent $20 million upgrading SAP. And how much of the $20 million is software?
Software maintenance.
No, software. How much of the $20 million when we upgraded SAP, how much of that was just the software?
Yeah, I mean, the software itself was bought previous to the, it was
So
implementation.
how much was the software itself?
We pay every year just to keep the software, and
How much was the software, just the software to upgrade it?
we,
$5 million.
we'll say 5 million.
So the software is 5 million, but we could have implemented the software like we did in 1999, just plug it into the computer, download it, and you're done, right? The $20 million that we spent in implementing it is to make sure that customer service and the meter department are coordinated with what they do and what the meter department does, right? To make sure that the information that's received and collected by one department is integrated into another department. And so the whole process of building the SAP is to really have all these people within different departments communicating with each other through the system. So how do you do that? You sit down and say, okay, I talked about my spacer, right? The spacer was really important. How do you implement and install a spacer? What's the steps involved in installing a spacer from a contractor who receives it from the inventory department, who actually is inspected by the utility services command center department, and the customer service department needs to set up a customer service account. So all of those different departments need a piece of that spacer for their own reasons. So you build this system so that it talks to the other departments. And so that's what it cost, and that's a real simple explanation, but that's what it cost $20 million to have all of its staff, all these consultants, build a software such that the business process is built into this new software. And so when there's something not going right, we said we want this to, the flow chart is to go here to here to here to here, and it's not working properly, a ticket's created as an example to say something's not right. And one thing I learned I think it was probably 2010, we talked to Aquarion Water because they implemented SAP, and quote, the SAP's implementation failed. And my question to SAP was, what does failure mean? Well, what failure means is that if people don't use SAP correctly, as it was intended and designed to do, then the data doesn't get input into SAP correctly. And then when Kim Haynes goes to talk to Mrs. Smith and says, there was a meter installation in your house in 2012, and the customer says, no, they were just out here last week. But Kim doesn't know it because customer service should know everything that the meter department, if a meter department goes out and replaces Mrs. Jones's meter, the system, SAP, should be updated by the meter department so that Kim knows real time that Mrs. Jones had a visit from our meter department. So if that doesn't happen correctly, a ticket's created. There's something wrong with the system. And if you don't maintain that, that's what the BET team is for. If you don't maintain this on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, the system will eventually do what happened in 1999. It won't work because the data going into it is not correct, it's not updated. So that's my mechanical engineering version of IT. That's about it. That's as far as I can go.
Thank you.
It's a correction.
Yes, sir.
Neil is a commissioner, but did you say weekly payroll? Do you issue paychecks
Yep.
weekly?
Yeah, yes, there is. It's called a union. And our unions, we've tried desperately to go to a bi-weekly paycheck, and our unions have said absolutely no, no, no. We've fought over this for years. But I would tell you, you're probably going to talk about this, and Giselle's been tremendous at dealing with payroll. But when I first got here, there were periods where people weren't getting paid. People were not getting paid. Not because the system was crashing, but all of the union rules that we talked about simplifying, every union had different rules, and within one union had multiple different rules. So every timekeeper had to understand the union rules so that they can make these exceptions. So somebody comes in with a 40-week paycheck, but you've got all these exceptions, well, this, that, and this, you've got to be able to make those corrections. And it would take up to late Thursday to actually get, we're supposed to be paying on Wednesday. We had to have the unions agree that we would have to pay on Wednesday because it was so difficult to get payroll out of the door until, but with all the hard work from the group here and others that aren't here, now the payroll comes in on Monday morning and it's ready Tuesday morning?
Usually we approve it by Monday evening.
It's amazing. The amount of work that went into payroll alone, and in part because the union rules were so difficult, and in part SAP just didn't do what we needed it to do. The data was there, but you had to, it took so much manpower, woman power to get it and implement it. It was a nightmare. So the amount of work that's gone into payroll alone, that's why we love it.
Griselda?
It really, it's a night and day from years past.
Yep. Yep. Griselda's going to talk about that in just a minute.
Any other questions? No?
Okay, great. So just really quickly, I wanted to share my staff. Dawn Newton is my assistant, and she came into the district in 2014 when many of us did as a procurement specialist, and she helped us stand up the P-card program, our purchase card program, which we'll be talking about later. But she also today works with me on managing and coordinating special projects across the enterprise. She also manages our vendor master data in SAP, and as part of that, compiles all the supplier diversity report spend data and reports required by DAS and CHRO. We send quarterly and annual goal reports to DAS and CHRO as part of our requirements. If you just want to flip to the next slide. I really don't want to spend too much time on this, but I did want to give you a snapshot. It's very difficult to meet the goals of our operating expenditures, but we improve every year. Down at the bottom in the red box, in 2021, we were about, I'm sorry, I can't see it from here, 52% of goal. In 2022, we raised that to 60% of goal. Now, the DAS requires a goal of trying to spend up to 25% of all of our available dollars that we spend with contractors with small business enterprises. And these are certified small business enterprises with the state of Connecticut. In order to be certified with the state of Connecticut, you have to have your business headquartered in the state of Connecticut. So it is very difficult, especially with supply chain issues of late, very, very difficult to be able to reach that 25%. We're often buying our materials and other things are from large distributors because we just can't find them from small businesses. We do have some, though. But we've made it to 60% of goal in 2022. But on the positive side, on our CapEx side, we more than exceed our goals. We were actually in 2022 200% of goal. So we doubled what the goal was for us to spend on small business and minority businesses. It's all broken down by type of minority business, women-owned business, but we've spent, and that is by working with our supplier base and our construction contractors, many of whom are actually prime contractors. VMS is an example, construction, where they're actually an SBE today. And so we get 100% of the spend on the contracts with VMS. We get that to be able to report as small business spend. And then I just wanted to touch on one other thing right here, and that is if you see those little orange lines, we also further break down small local business enterprises enterprise spend. And local business enterprise means a company that's actually headquartered in one of our member towns. So we take pride in being able to contract with and record. I think, in 2020, that was the COVID year, so that there was a spike in our spend locally. But we spend a good 10 or so, 9 to 10 million each year with small local businesses. So we're proud of these numbers. Dawn does a lot of work to tabulate everything, and we always get great marks from the state for doing so.
Mr. Patel.
You said you increased the local participation in 2020. Did you have to change the incentives? Are there separate incentives for locals?
No, you're just literally a local small business. If you're a small business enterprise certified by the state of Connecticut DAS and you're headquartered in one of our member towns. I think we bought a lot of PPE that year and other things, and we locally sourced. Dawn, what was the other?
Some of the other top businesses for local.
No, but why we spiked in 2020?
A lot of it was the
Local PPE?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it was the local PPE that we purchased because we were scrambling for suppliers of things that we didn't normally buy, and so we were able to buy them locally from small business enterprises.
So it was market dictated or market result automatically resulted into this, not with special efforts on the part of the MDC, am I correct?
Well, we always make special efforts to work with those who are certified small businesses to maintain their certification with the state of Connecticut. Our procurement department and our engineering department works with our prime contractors that are SBEs as well as our subcontractors. We keep track of who falls off the certification, and we try to work with them to get recertified as soon as possible. We cannot take credit for the dollars spent unless they are certified during the reporting period. So we're very proactive in working with our subcontractors and our small business contractors to make sure they maintain that certification.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question, are you allowed to go into the federal list? I work with a company that we get small business credit on the federal bid sites, and we did federal projects around the country, to help you meet where you're saying you had difficulty finding Connecticut certified small businesses.
Yeah, unfortunately, to report to the state of Connecticut, they have to be Connecticut certified state businesses, so Connecticut state certified businesses. So we are right now. I think that DAS is working with the feds in the SAM program to utilize the MBE, the federal standards. And as we move towards that, they should be certifying more businesses, which will then allow us to identify them as such.
It opens the broad.
It will open it much. And I do also want to point out, as far as the Clean Water Project goes, we spend many, many more millions with small businesses and minority businesses and women-owned businesses. Not part of this reporting because we report to the feds. Under our Clean Water Project, typically there's 11% set aside for 6% for minority businesses and 5% for women-owned businesses that all of our Clean Water Project contractors need to meet, and we follow that very closely, but we can't report it to DAS and CHRO because we're already reporting that data to the federal government. Okay.
Any other questions?
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Griselda. Since we've talked about her and payroll, I want to introduce Griselda to share with you a little bit about our payroll system.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for having us. My name is Griselda, and I'm in charge of the weekly payroll that we have here at the MDC. Our men and women work really hard to keep building our communities, and we work really hard to pay them correctly and on time every week. So most people think of payroll just as the hours per the pay rate of the employee, but it's way more than that. all of those fields that you see on any pay statement, from the date, the hours, the taxes, any deductions, all of them are subject to different laws. So we had to comply with Department of Labor laws, IRS regulations. We had to comply with the state regulations. Also, we comply with our 3 unions contracts, and we also have our internal regulations for controls that we need to comply. All of those regulations, we need to set them in our system, and it has not been an easy process, but thanks to different changes that has been done in the unions, like this year, we are improving and making many changes to being able to utilize our system and to improve our payroll, making it so much easier process. Thank you. So in the BET team, some of the improvements that we have accomplished since 2020 when we went live with the implementations. So we have streamlined our process, and now we have less staff involved in the process. Now it's mostly done by me and few people in finance and some people in HR. And we keeping the process moving faster. It used to be a 3-day process. Now we're doing it in 1 day and a half, 1 day and a half. Now we are lowering the cost of our expense. Before we used to have companies that help us with some of the process of payroll, and that now we don't use it as much, and it's saving us like $180,000 a year. The efficiency is also give us access to more data, and it helps us to be able to, with reporting, it's helping us to realize what we need to improve and what we can improve, and we keep working to make it every day better. And one of the biggest, marks that we have is that, like Scott was saying, we used to pay on Thursdays. Now we were able to move back again to pay our employees on every Wednesday. And the other thing that we were able to do before the implementation, all of our employees were doing paper timesheets. Now we have 1/3 of our population is doing their timesheets through employee self-service. They go online, then enter the time. It gets approved online also for their managers. And the remaining employees, we use timekeepers to enter the time, but we are always looking into who we can move to employee self-service so that they can have access to enter their own time. Our current projects, so we are implementing the new changes that we're negotiating for the new union contracts. So all of the changes simplify our rules and make it easier for us to pay our employees using our application, the SAP. Those have been implemented. There is one last union contract that was signed recently, so those are going to be implemented in the system. And like I say, those changes now put in the system are going to help us to make the process even easier and get our employees more benefits, trying to improve what we already offer them. And one of the things that we are trying to do is like we are 457B plan is allow our employees that they can access themselves, change anything that they need to change in their plan, and just send it through our system without any intervention. So that's one of the things that we are currently working on, also improving other benefits. And our future goals, we keep working on improving SAP. We are looking into bring a solution, cloud solution that is what is coming, and we will need to get up there with everybody else. And also to offer a better employee self-service that gives the employees more options on how to manage by themselves their benefits without having to need anybody to help them, but that they get it done themselves and they can see what changes they had done any time that they need to do so. And we also look to work with operations. A lot of our employees that work in the field, they work through work orders. So we're looking to work with them so that the information that is put on those work orders come directly through payroll and go through billing, so there is not any intervention and is done all by the system. So those are our three main goals for the future.
Questions?
Yes, do we have an estimated cost savings if we went to a 2-week payroll as opposed to a 1-week payroll? That's the first question. And the second one is, what seems to be the argument for not going to a 2-week payroll by the unions?
Our employees, and this is a challenge for us, right? But a lot of our employees, especially people in the field, our supervisors would say to me, Joe gets paid on Wednesday, and he's borrowing money from me on Monday. And so when we had this discussion with the unions about going to a 2-week payroll, it's a really pushback at the operational level, the field people. And it's just the nature of the job, it's the nature, I don't know. But it's a very sore subject with the unions. We bring it up every year. We talk every union contract, and the answer is absolute no. And that's all I can tell you is that's real, right? They have a difficult time managing their money, and whether it's young people, I don't know, but it is a real issue for them, and that's why we have had challenged going to a 2-week payroll. Prior to the SAP upgrade, we would tell you it would have saved us a lot of money. And today, I would bet it would say it's not going to save us as much money because of all the improvements with SAP, but is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say that our costs are pretty fixed right now. It's just labor time and ability to spend more time enhancing the system than actually, because we're doing the processing every week. But as you see up on the slide up there, we had a contract with ADP before. We had a dual payroll system before we re-implemented SAP. So we would process the payroll, and I know Carol knows this better than anybody. We would, and obviously Olga too, we would process the payroll in SAP, send it to ADP. ADP would send back their reconciliation, and we would then have to reconcile it. So it's almost like having two payroll systems and trying to do that all in a day or two. Very time-consuming, many more people involved in the payroll at that time because we needed multiple people in finance. We needed our payroll administrator. HR was involved sometimes when things didn't match up. So I would say we gained so much with the new system, specifically in payroll, and that's why we wanted to spike that out and share it with you.
Does the district have a credit union?
We do, yes.
Because that helps, like, some of these people
Yes.
with their payments and things, they can,
Yes.
better manage their.
Yes, we do have a credit union, and we even had a company come in. You've probably seen the ads on TV where they'll let you borrow money, which is dangerous, but they'll let you borrow money like midweek if you're short, and then you pay them back. They came to us, we brought it to the unions, we let the unions review it, and they said no, which I think was the right decision. But yeah, it's just the nature of the job, I guess. I don't know, but it's been a topic for a long time discussion.
Any other questions?
Quick comment on those payday loans. I absolutely agree. I do not think the MDC should be involved in any way, shape, or form in supporting payday loans. On the payroll issues, how many people get their paychecks direct deposited?
All of it but one. Oh, two. All of our employees get direct deposit, but two employees, yeah,
Except for 2 people.
yeah.
And we've been trying with those two people.
Well, one of them is,
Ones who want it weekly.
one of them is a student, is one of an intern, so, and the other person, we're working on it.
We had, years ago, I mean, and this has been evolving, you know, MDC, like a lot of utilities, men and women working in the field, and they're just a lot of set in their own ways, but there were things that we would pay, like meal allowances. They would get a separate check, and they wanted that separate check because their spouse didn't know there was a separate check.
That's a real question.
And so we've really evolved, you know, over the years, compared to, you know, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, it was a different world, but that mentality still is here, you know.
We have gained a ton from the new union contracts as
Yeah.
far as simplifying administration. Now we're working with our AMS provider to unravel some of the logic that was in there before. So we're very happy with where payroll is. There's always a glitch here or there, but Griselda and HR, Jamie and I work very closely together to make sure that we're doing right by our employees and also making sure that check is in everybody's direct deposit on Wednesday morning.
Questions?
If there are no further questions, I am going to turn it over to Bob Barron and our Finance Department.
I think this is on.
No.
Yeah, great.
You know, I have a loud voice, but I'll ask my staff to use the microphone because I'm sure you can hear me. My name is Bob Barron. In July of this year, I will have served as your Chief Financial Officer for 2 years. And so I'm really happy to be able to talk about our finance organization, and the managers that report to me are going to follow my presentation. What you see up on the screen is the first of 11 slides. We've practiced. We'll knock it out in 40 minutes. So 5:30 is what I'm shooting for. And so I'm one of 2 directors that reports to Kelly Shane in her role as the Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm the center area with the red box, Chief Financial Officer. You'll see that I have 3 distinct departments, budget, financial controls, and treasury. And I have the privilege of working with the employees that are pictured in this slide. And I'd like to introduce them to you now. From left to right, we have Tra Fan. She'll be speaking right after me. She's our controller, and she manages the financial controls department. And then we have Diana Fay next to Tra, who is our treasury manager, and she's responsible for the treasury department. And then Lisa Remsen, who is the budget manager responsible for the budget department, and also reporting to me, those were the 3 managers that are going to speak, but also reporting to me is Carol Magner-Mitchell on the far right, who is an accounting administrator and our data lead. She was actually introduced earlier as part of the BET team. In addition to supporting the BET, she also supports our enterprise software, SAP, across all departments. I'd like to talk about leadership and then the big deliverables, the things you're used to seeing from my department. And then the managers will talk about what else they do throughout the year. But you may remember that from 2018 to 2021, remember this figure, we spent $2 million with CohnReznick. That was the consulting firm we brought in to help with the SAP conversion, audit support, and training. The following year, 2022, we spent less than $40,000 with them. In this year, 2023, we're spending no money with them. And as grateful as I am for the investment that the MDC made with Cone as they helped us create policy and procedure manuals for each one of our departments, I think the greatest success is the leadership in the finance work group, because these folks have taken the tools that were developed during that upgrade, and they've worked to make each of their departments more effective and efficient. And what I think is important is that they accomplished this with the majority of the same staff that was here before we engaged the consultant. So essentially the same staff, new leadership, and we've made a tremendous amount of great progress within the department. So let's talk about the big deliverables now. You'll see me in front of the various committees and, of course, in front of the board. It's funny how these three departments pretty much chew up the 12 months. For the big deliverable for financial controls is the annual audit. Our fiscal year is a calendar year, so it ends in December. And we begin the audit process in January and then deliver this annual audit in about May. As a matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be producing the audit for last fiscal year 2022. So we have copies. We're going to pass that around so you could take a look. And let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say about the, yes, no, that was it. and then almost immediately following this audit effort, we start with the Treasury Department looking to raise money for all of our capital projects, $100 million plus every year, that we have to go out to the markets and borrow money to be able to support those. That process begins with the development of an official statement, and we do that in June. And then we do a preliminary official statement. This is the final one. A preliminary official statement at the beginning of June. At the end of June, I'm before our rating agencies. S&P and Moody's are who we use. And then I get a rating. I sell those bonds that you've authorized me to go to market on in July, and then we close in August. We bring the money in August. So this next little handout is the final official statement, and I have with the little yellow tab at the bottom of it, you'll see the $86.2 million worth of projects that you authorized me to borrow last year. Just a note about last year, we're really proud of this, and some of you have heard this already, but on a Tuesday, we issued $86.2 million worth of debt, and on that following Thursday, 2 days later, Norwalk issued $90 million worth of debt. So essentially the same amount of debt being issued. We beat their interest rate by a full 1/4 percentage point. Actually, it was a little more than that. And what's significant about that is that we're only a AA rated community, and they're a AAA rated community. I was their chief financial officer for 8 years, so I was really keen on seeing how well I did against the city that I used to be the CFO for. And so the way we were able to beat their interest rate, even though they're a higher rated community, is we went out competitively, which drove down not only the cost of issuance, the bond counsel we pay for, the municipal advisor, all the people that help us bring our bonds to market. With a competitive sale, those costs are less than with a negotiated sale, is what Norwalk went with. And we also had some success in lowering those cost of issuance costs. So that was a big accomplishment, all coordinated through our Treasury Department last year. And then,
I just want to say,
yeah.
That wasn't an accident, right? That was Bob's experience in understanding this market. And instead of us listening to our consultants to say, we should negotiate this so everybody makes a lot of money, and then MDC pays more. And that's what happens. And Bob brings that experience to the table. We don't need that.
I thought I'd run because I was curious myself. I didn't know off the top of my head. What did that quarter point mean over the 20-year bond term? And it was about $200,000 in today's dollars. Net present value about $200,000. So, yeah, it was significant. So what did I say? We got the money in August. Well, what happens in September? September is when I have the first town meetings to start the budget process, right? And that runs all the way through December. The last year it was December 5th, we produced this budget book. Now, this is only the operating budget book. We do produce a separate capital budget book that was also approved on December 5th, and we'll pass these around. But I bring that up this evening because I'd like for you to pay close attention to the book. We've reorganized it so that the data flows more cleanly and the roll-ups are really clear. As this is the budget for the executive office, this is for the chief operating officer, and here's for the chief administrative officer. Wow, that's sensitive. So the flow's really good, but we also had changes in our capital budget because we had the inclusion of the integrated plan this year. And so you'll see some updates in that. And Lisa and her team did a wonderful job, and we're really proud of that. Another thing I wanted to highlight about the budget group is they don't just manage the process. They work with me to help develop the initial recommendations on what our budget should be, right? We're always looking at all of our funds, seeing what can be utilized to keep the ad valorem rate the lowest possible on the sewer side, to keep the water rate as low as possible on the water side. You'll remember 2 years ago, our general fund had a surplus over our 35% threshold. We have a fund balance policy that says that our fund balance will be between 30 and 35%. It was actually 38.1%. We grabbed that money and gave it immediately back to the member towns and in the form of a reduced ad valorem. In 2023, we did it as well, and this was part of Lisa's work. When we took a look and when the hydroelectric fund was established, we said that any surpluses, we don't need to keep a balance in the hydroelectric fund, right? So if we have revenues coming in greater than the expenses, any surpluses can be used to reduce ad valorem, and we had the benefit of that in 2023. So I guess before I introduce the managers, I wanted to let you know our finance organization is actively working all aspects of finance and prudently making recommendations on how to keep our costs to our member towns and ratepayers as low as possible. So with that two-page introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Tra Phan. Again, Tra is our controller, seated 3 seats from me, and she will talk to us about her financial controls department. Thanks, Tra.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
My name is Tra Phan, and I serve as the controller for the financial control division. You're looking at a picture of my team right there, and together we work to ensure internal control for the district, from proper general ledger maintenance to financial reporting that is in compliance not only with the district charters, policy and procedures, but also with the governmental accounting standards and regulation for the 8 government funds, 9 business type funds, and 5 combined and pool cash funds that we have. There are 9 members in the financial control team, myself included, with 4 internal accountants who handle all of the financial accounting function, such as book and debt service activities, asset capitalization, and depreciation. General accountant also support payroll with validation and backup as needed. 3 members in accounts payable who process all of the district vendor payment in-house, and 1 administrative analyst who is tasked with administrative function, including process streamlining. Some of the responsibilities in financial control start with month-end close process. This has a major improvement from the past, as we were not able to close timely, but now we do. We've gained this type of efficiency from having good policy and procedures that we have developed with the assistance from CONRESNIC since 2020, along with better coordination within the 3 finance departments whose managers strongly commit to streamlined processes, sign-off, and certification to top executive. Bank reconciliation is now done timely every month by well-trained staff from financial control and treasury, as well as the assistance from the BET and automation, which Nefertari will expand on later tonight. For capital outlay for the audited fiscal year 2021, about $100 million in capital outlay were tracked. And once the projects were approved by the board to close, they were capitalized and depreciated monthly, providing a more accurate picture of the financial on a monthly basis. For accounts payable in 2022, on average, about 1,100 invoices for approximately $7.5 million were processed. 75% of this volume was operating expenditure, whereas the rest was capital project related.
That's a monthly number, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 1,100 a month.
Overall, finance worked very well together to commit to audit planning and deliverable every year. Hence, always a timely and clean audit. Thereby, the district was able to achieve the Excellence in Financial Reporting Award from the U.S. and Canadian Government Finance Officer Association, also known as the GFOA. And by the way, our financial report is available electronically on the MDC website. In addition, financial control also embraces the district overall goal with continuous improvement through the BET enhancement, with some of the current project being open text workflow automation, journal entry workflow within SAP, financial statement and schedules within SAP, and capital reporting and reconciliation. Well, thank you. Next up, I give you Dinah Fay, and she will speak about her Treasury Department.
Excuse me before that. Any questions other than you?
Comment, right?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just congratulations on getting the award.
Thank you.
Could you just say, it's really important, month-end close. Before we hired CONRESNIC and before this team, this team, as Bob said, is the same team. So think about this. Before CONRESNIC, we spent $2 million, same team. And it took the MDC about 60 days or more to close the month. This team is looking for leadership, right? And they got leadership from promoting people within the department that knew how to do this the right way. And then and Bob, obviously, and Kelly bringing and continuing that leadership is really, same team, 60 days, and now it takes you 15 days or so to make your closing.
the latest, by latest, the 15th.
60 days, 12 days, same team. Leadership. It's all about leadership. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Diana Fay. I'm serving as the manager of Treasury. The Treasury staff is made up of 11 team members, including myself, with 4 primary divisions. I have 3 staff members in cash management, 1 in insurance services, 1 in special revenue billing, and 5 in receivable management. Oh, and the picture of the team is right on the screen there. So I'll begin with giving an overview of the responsibilities of each division, starting with our cash team. The cash team's primary objectives are to maintain liquidity by managing our cash flows. We start by collaborating with our engineering department to project borrowing needs of capital spend, typically within the next 2 years. We make sure that our debt payments are made on time and in accordance to our debt schedule. We also manage the submissions of grant and loan reimbursements to our state agencies. Just to give you a little background on how the reimbursement process works, first, we receive your board approval for the appropriation to spend on the project. Once the project is eligible for state funding, the team works with our bond counsel to prepare the resolution, which may be familiar to most of you as it's presented to the Board of Finance and then to the district board for approval of the interim funding obligation, which allows us to request a reimbursement, and finally, a project loan obligation when the project is complete and the loan payments commence. Submissions of these reimbursements are crucial. Just last year, we received a total of approximately $52 million in reimbursements. The cash team also maintains relationships with our banking partner, currently JP Morgan. We provide lockbox payment support, we mitigate any potential fraud risk, and we have oversight on day-to-day disbursement activities. Some efficiencies that were gained during our SAP upgrade includes the process of electronic bank statements, which reduce the need to manually journalize daily cash activities so that bank reconciliations that are completed by our general accounting group are reconciled in a timely manner. We've also worked with our bank to transmit daily payment files using a secure portal with scheduled batch jobs that will automatically post payments to customer accounts without any manual intervention. Next, we'll get into the insurance services group. We work with our broker, which currently is Arthur J. Gallagher, to market our insurance coverages that renew annually. Typically, that involves making any site visits, review of any historic loss trends, any retention analysis to ensure we maintain appropriate coverages at the best cost. As you may recall, we seek approval from the PP&I committee every September. Just last year, we had same or better coverages with total savings of 4.4%. Heading next, we'll get into our special revenue billing. We handle resource-related billings for activities that involve developer permit agreements and any claim-related activities. We work with our engineering and operation groups to make sure we capture all costs, such as labor and material. We also have additional billing activities. We bill the Department of Transportation for construction of road work. We also handle the septic, sludge, and grease billing, as well as assessments. We've made several improvements in the special revenue billing area. Some of the improvements include creation of an account indicator so that we can easily identify billable jobs. We've also automated some of our resource-related billing by using an upload instead of manually inputting these costs, essentially reducing human error while increasing the accuracy of our billing documents and making them visible to our customer service staff. We continue to work on efficiencies, and it will be covered in more detail with Nefertari. The next area is our receivable management, and I would like to introduce our Treasurer Receivable Administrator, Jessica Fenner, where she will be sharing responsibilities covered by her and her team.
Hi, I'm Jessica Fenner. I serve as the Receivable Administrator for the district. In receivable management, our primary focus is to maximize cash flow. Oh, thank you. By converting our billed revenue into cash. Over the past few years, as the culture in our finance department evolved, we received more support and encouragement to focus on pursuing process improvements. For my group, from a business process standpoint, that meant shifting from a heavily reactive approach to collections to being more proactive. In addition to this, we needed to find efficiency. In order to do this, we needed to find efficiencies within our current processes so that we could use our time in a way that added more value to the MDC and, more importantly, to our customers. We found this opportunity within our dunning process and our shut-off process. Our most significant improvement was utilizing the SAP dunning process in a more sophisticated way. Prior to 2020, the dunning process was used to send monthly notices and post interest. That's it. Today, it can send specific notices to customers based on premise type and balance. It also automated the creation of shut-off notifications and produced lists of tenant-occupied properties that may need to be pursued with the help of a collection attorney. This has eliminated many manual steps and processes.
Excuse me, Commissioner Patel, do you have a question? I didn't want to go too far without.
Not on this particular one, the one before. My question was, does department or sub-departments have fiscal staff assigned to them besides what is being managed by centralized staff?
The answer is no. When I first came here in 2006, where's Lisa? Lisa Robinson? Stand up, Lisa. She's now the manager of budget. She was my financial person in operations. And no, just like we centralized engineering, we brought the talent back into the finance department. Tremendous raise for Lisa. and so we brought the talent from the field, from operations, and put it where it belongs. So no, there's positions in departments that work directly with the finance department, but not financial positions.
Thank you.
My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay. So we were just talking about how we had automated the shut-off notifications, and we have some more automation as far as using the dunning process. And then the question is, well, what does that mean for our customers? How does it benefit them directly? And what it means to them is that we have more time to spend on the phone with our customers, coming up with payment plan options. But not only that, we can talk to them about water usage and what would be considered within normal range for their households. We can talk about steps they may not have thought of to reduce their consumption. This is especially important for our customers that are on payment plans because in addition to the monthly payment, they have to keep up with their current charges. In order to keep that active. So small changes in a customer's daily habits can really help. Things like using the dishwasher instead of washing your dishes by hand, or just taking shorter showers. We also can discuss how to use their monthly bill as a tool for identifying abnormal usage or leaks. It may seem obvious to a lot of us in this room, but many people either don't know their toilet is running, or if they do, they don't know how it's seriously impacting their bill. They assume the bill is high because of the rates, and that's not the case. We also make time to provide information regarding financial assistance for our customers experiencing hardship. We routinely work with social services departments in many of our member and non-member towns to assist in providing information to caseworkers so that they can work with their residents so they can apply for Operation Fuel grants and for other hardship funding that's available through the towns. In addition, over the past year, we've been working very closely with the community renewal team to assist them with getting customers approved for the low-income housing water assistance program. In fact, just yesterday, we received $303,000 from them. In conclusion, our goal is to help our customers see the value of prioritizing the payment of their water bill. Many of our past due customers are very relieved to know that once they're done with their payment plan, even if it seems like it might be a tight 6 to 9 months, that at the end, their water bill will probably end up being their cheapest monthly bill. For the upcoming year, we will continue to challenge ourselves to find efficiencies, and we will do things in a smarter way. If there's no questions.
Commissioner Patel, do you have a?
That's it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we have the same kind of outreach and communication with, let's say, with landlords of multi-unit buildings. Because I hear that a lot, and I don't, like they're having trouble with their tenants, but since their tenants are not paying for the water and they are, there's that disconnect. And I'm just wondering if we have that kind of, outreach.
We do. Well, as far, are you talking about like financial assistance? Are you talking about our communication internally to the customers that are?
I think you've got a bunch of great ideas about helping the individual customers, like check your toilets, make sure they're not running, if you have leaks that, that are out of control, that it's not the rate, it's what's happening in your home with the water. But that could also translate to, the landlords, the large landlords, who may be seeing these large water bills, and complain, but they don't realize that there are other things going on that maybe they can take care of.
That's a good point. Yeah, I actually do. If I talk to a landlord and they're having issues like that, I do ask them if they're sure that there's only 2 people living in the home, because a lot of times they think there's 2 people, but there's 5. And so that sometimes can explain the gap in the water usage. Or yeah, or and also just if you are a landlord and you have a rental property, it's a good idea to maybe include in the lease that you have the right to check the property once a year for toilet leaks, and also for them to have communications with their tenants about an open communication, because if you have people that live in the property that have never owned a home and never paid a water bill, they might not know that a running toilet causes that much damage to a water bill. So they might not think to tell the landlord. So it's really about encouraging them to have open communication too with their tenants.
Thank you.
A running toilet, 5 gallons a minute for a month is $5,000. You're talking a lot of money to, not for a month, but over a period of time, you can rack up, and we had a case specifically like that. Yeah. I don't know how many months it was, but it's $5,000. So we want to, we do a lot to try and work with the landlords. In some cases, landlords aren't interested in those issues, and that's a challenge for us, and that's where the lawyers come in. So.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Question, how many of your customers are entirely electronic? I mean, you don't send them a physical bill, and they pay it electronically, and how much do you save by converting more of them to fully electronic?
That's probably more for customer service and billing. I know off the top of my head, we have about 50% that utilize our online payment portal. But I believe, Kim, don't they still get a bill unless they opt out?
They have to opt out not to receive a bill.
And right now on auto pay, which would be that opt out, I believe.
Well, you can get auto pay and still get a
bill.
Copy too.
We have about 15,000 of our 105,000 customers that are on auto pay today.
There's a savings the more you convert over now.
Absolutely, there is a savings, yes. And we're working with our Kubra third-party payment presenter, our portal right now. We hope to move to our own portal and use them just as a payment third party, because we're not a bank. But we are hoping to move towards more electronic billing opportunities through our own portal. That's one of our next big enhancements, is a customer service portal.
Commissioner Patel.
Briefly explain auto pay.
I'm sorry?
Explanation of auto pay, automatic removal from.
Yeah, so we have an online bill presentment, so any customer can go online to our portal, our payment portal, right from our website. They click on and they can go, and once they've set up an account, they can go in and set up auto pay, so their bill is automatically paid either when the bill is presented to them or at the end, on the due date, et cetera. They can also go in and make a one-time payment, very similar to Eversource, your electric electric bill, same kind of thing. You can set up auto payment, or you can go in and pay monthly if you want to have that control. I'm one of those people, I have to have that control. But, yeah, that is auto pay. It's set up by the payment provider to have them, the bill automatically be paid and taken from their checking account each month.
Commissioner?
I may have missed this. Yeah, I'll come back.
Anybody else remember their question? Yes, Mr. Rizzo.
I don't remember his, but I do remember mine. So how long is a customer allowed before, I guess, the shut-off process starts? Is it based on months, or is it a dollar amount?
It's both, essentially. Yeah, I mean, you need to be past due, and then, a certain dollar amount. If you owe 100, you probably would be okay.
So there isn't a specific time where?
Just the 3 notices?
Yeah, you'll get a minimum of 3 notices. Most people get even more than that.
Okay.
But you would get a shut-off notice prior to shut-off.
And then you said there's a process by which they could come up with a payment plan? Having to pay the bill along with the agreed amount?
Yes, so you have to keep up with your current charges.
Yes.
And pay your monthly payment plan amount in order to keep it active. It's all managed in SAP. Okay. So SAP is looking for you to make your payment of your current charges and your payment plan in order to keep it active. And
Any interest charged on the delinquent balance?
Yeah.
There is? Okay. And that's kind of hard for a customer to catch up, isn't it?
We work with the customers on what we think that, we do have our guidelines, but we work with them on what, it's a conversation. So we talk to them about the bills, and that's where the usage comes into play too. If they're saying, I can afford $500 a month, well then $500 a month means you're probably gonna have to use less water, because you're gonna have to keep up with your current charges and your payment plan. So it's a conversation about that.
What's the interest charge?
It's 1% of the past due balance.
Per month,
Per month?
12%. Past due taxes are 18% municipal taxes. So.
Thank you.
And if I can add, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, our average shut-off bill was in the $1,000, $1,500 range. And now it's down to
It's
500.
Well, it's still high now because we had that period of time where we weren't shutting off.
COVID, right, COVID. But the point is, being more proactive, we've lowered, prior to COVID, we lowered the, we used to be shutting people off when they owed us, $3,000, $1,500. Now we're down, sophisticated enough where we're in that $500 range. And that's collections. That's all about collections, right? It's about the reason why our collections we're so successful in our collection rate.
And I would just add to that the automated generated letters, the shut-off notices that go out, we end up receiving payments based on those notices, and each time we get, so it avoids the shut-off too. So we're able to, through that automation with no touching, we're able to get more payments in, which reduces the number of shut-offs that we have to work with operations to do.
And just to add to that, I'm sorry, Commissioner, sorry. But, it was in one of my presentations, one of my monthly reports, and I'm going to guess at these numbers, but the board voted to allow us to send out shut-off notices for not just non-payment, but for non-access. And we just came off of COVID and non-payments over COVID, and we collected $4 million. Was it $4 million in receipts?
This was last year in our 2022 season. $3.5 million is what comes to my mind, Scott, but we're close.
Yes, but so being aggressive, people say they can't afford it, but they find a way to afford it. And if most people will be honest, our water bill, MDC's water bill, and probably other utilities, you're talking about $1,000 a year for the water bill and the clean water surcharge and your sewer ad valorem equivalent, $1,500. In most homes, as you probably know, your cable bill is $400 a month. So the service that we provide as a water utility doesn't get the credit that it deserves, because other utilities, especially, ones that aren't, you don't need TV, you need water. But we get beat up over, because most people think water should be free. I don't know if you're gonna talk about it, but are you gonna talk about Operation Fuel? The 50,000? So let me just, is anybody gonna talk about that?
We talked, no, we're not going to specifically talk about that.
I am a member of Operation Fuel. As you know, the board approved, we basically donate $50,000 a year to Operation Fuel. And Operation Fuel uses that money to give that money out to people who need it. They make that decision. We used to do it ourselves, and now Operation Fuel does that for us. We're also, as part of our new banking RFP, we've been trying to add $1 to our bill. So you want to donate $1, donate $5, donate $10. We couldn't do that with the banking system that we had, and now we were going to be adding that at our dollar.
We are adding that we are transitioning right now to JP Morgan Chase, so it's not quite ready yet, but we are transitioning to that.
So that'll help our customers with, as you know, Operation Fuel, they don't just deal with water, mainly deal with electricity and oil. But this at our dollar will be specific to our customers for their water bill.
All set?
I think we're going to introduce Lisa Remsen from, thank you, Jess, by the way, thank you.
Well, I remembered my question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if our software is such that it notices an aberration in your monthly bill. If somebody does have a leak, you don't, it's not an individual looking at it, but it's something automatic in the system that sends a notice out.
I think today it is based on, and Kim is going to talk about this during the customer service and billing discussion. Today, we have an implausible list that SAP produces that we look at every day prior to the bill going out. We do that, review it manually. We have billing analysts that do that and identify any. In the future, with our AMI that Chris talked about and our next generation of meter reading, we're going to be moving to real-time meter reading, where we'll have access to a portal, and eventually our customers will also have access to that same portal for actual real-time, well, within 2 hours, 2-hour readings.
It's uploaded every 4 hours.
4 hours, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Every 4 hours, and we will be able, customer service and billing, instead of looking at just some report, we'll be able to see in real time through a reporting system from Itron, the telemetry system. We'll be able to see it, and eventually our customers will too. Yep.
Anyone else?
I'm sorry.
No.
So I want credit for all the questions, because we had like a 2-hour presentation, so we may go over a little bit, but I think it's really important that we finish, if possible.
I think someone took very, very important time away from very important people. That's all I got to say about it.
Okay. I want to keep with our finance department. We have the budget department next, and that's Lisa Remsen, our manager of budget.
Hi, I'm Lisa Remsen. I serve as manager of budgeting. Budget has 4 staff members, as you can see, made up of myself, budget manager, 1 senior financial analyst, and 2 financial analysts. Each analyst is assigned their own group of departments, so they become experts in the spending and the revenue of their assigned departments. The analysts work to cross-train each other in case of increased workload or special assignments that may arise during the year. They handle all aspects of SAP funds management. We assist with the financial month-end and year-end close, and we work with the Chief Financial Officer to develop preliminary budget recommendations. We construct the annual operating and capital budget books, and we have incorporated new changes that promote transparency and logical flow, as well as incorporating the integrated plan into the capital budget for 2023. Since there are many significant variables, such as weather, commodities, supply chain, limitations, energy, and uncertainties makes operating within budgets that are defined a year in advance in complex balancing act. The organization departments are divided amongst the budget team, with whom the business interacts with throughout the year regarding all budget-related activities. This allows for a deeper understanding of the business and the fostering of good working relationships between operational staff and finance. Additionally, this provides forecast reporting to leadership that includes payroll, other commodities, expenditures, revenue analysis, consumption, and capital improvement reporting on a monthly basis. This is apparent as that in the past 2 years, we have closed 126 capital improvement projects totaling over $464 million between engineering, facilities, and finance. We meet with our departments monthly to try to mitigate forecasting challenges such as budget increases that occur during the year. These could include price increases that have occurred, such as water treatment chemicals, gas, electricity. In order to solve these increases, budgeting staff continues to effectively look for ways to improve our processes by having an open forum amongst the departments to brainstorm and problem solve. By doing so, we are able to lessen the impact on current and future budgets. We use historical trends and current pricing from projected costs for commodities and services provided by procurement. The list contains contracted pricing for uniforms, oil, gas, diesel, and chemicals. This enables the operations and budgeting staff to have the tools to develop and maintain a sound budget. Any questions? I'm going to turn it over to Nefertiri, who will further discuss the BET support that finance gives to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. In addition to being a financial analyst in the budgeting department, I serve as the BET workstream lead. I found that my experience in operations has assisted many cross-functional activities within this project. As you guys have already heard from Kelly Shane and other members that's already presented, BET's primary goal is continuous improvement. I want to share some highlights from our Go Live accomplishments. The first being, we've optimized financial reporting. By doing so, we restructured the general ledger to reduce account redundancies, and we enhanced financial controls for reporting and year-end audit, as discussed by Trofan and Bob Barron. We've enabled automatic fund distribution for our combined fund centers. It was a manual process that took hours to complete prior to go live. And lastly, we've enhanced business processes. I want to share one, and I want to say Diana Fay may have discussed it in her slide, but I feel that it's important to share again. We've enhanced collection activities by integrating the special revenue billing onto the water utility bill, allowing our customers more visibility on their bill. Prior, the customer would receive 2 separate bills, so now we have everything comprised in one bill. Again, continuous improvement. These are some of our current projects. Again, as Jessica Finner described in her slide, we've increased efficiencies within dunning and shut-off processes. We've utilized SAP workflows to trigger different steps within the process, reducing the manual intervention. A lot of our prime goals within BET is to reduce those manual processes that has taken people sometimes days, hours, and even months to accomplish. We've also automated our banking statements into SAP. We now have our banking statements maintained in SAP. Prior to this, they were housed in different banking institutions and then manually posted into SAP. Again, a lot of manual processes have been cut through the implementation of BET. I'll also highlight some of the reports that we're continuously working on. Currently, we have a project reconciliation report. We're able to identify issues if asset balances are not reconciling. It allows for finance to track expenses, to accurately budget, as well as fund projects in respect to the financial asset classification. Trofan may have touched on this when she was discussing our CIP projects and how we go about that. We've created collections, agents, and consumption reports. These are system-generated reports from data tables, as opposed to what we did prior. We pulled data, again, another manual process, and we manipulated it through Excel. This is not good practice at all for data. We've also created exception flagging. This includes flagging general ledger account changes, divisions of materials, and tracking when technical objects change. And again, the materials and the technical objects, that's an integrated effort within our operational department. We're now able to easily identify if there have been any changes or if we have any archived pieces there. And we've also established our annual financial reports within SAP. Again, this is something that was a very manual process that multiple people extracted data and manipulated data outside of our system. I want to also now share some of our future goals in the road ahead. First being our water and sewer assessments. Currently, we utilize a third-party software, Novak. Our future goal is to eliminate that third-party software and derive the calculations in SAP. Again, as Scott says, we want to make sure we keep our system robust, and we've spent a lot of money, so why not utilize the system to its full ability? We're also looking to have flexible reporting tools for large data sets. Another thing that Scott mentioned from 1999 was the crash. That was because we were not maintaining our master data. It's a lot of data in the system, and we have to continue to cleanse it. And we have to be able to report against it. So developing master data controls to prevent the system from timing out when we pull large amounts of data is a necessity. Work order status controls. This is another combined force within finance and our operational and engineering staffs. We're going to work in collaboration with them to maintain master data and entry data that affects financial postings. Creation of these controls will better fit the needs of both operational and financial staff for business reporting processes. And lastly, we are striving to automate workflow approvals. And that is a way to utilize SAP to work interchangeably within the different departments of the business. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll pass it back to Kelly.
Thanks, Nefertiti. So the next department we're going to talk about, and Lisa will come up and talk more about it, but I just wanted to give the overview because procurement is near and dear to my heart. I was hired as the first director of procurement here at the MDC in 2014 and conducted a thorough review of procurement processes and procedures, what procurements were out there, what contracts were out there, and what I found and what we found was a lot of decentralization of the contracting process. We had some software. I'm gonna pick on IT, because Bob's leaving the room. But, you know, we had a lot of software that was purchased out and about, and Bob has done a tremendous job reeling all that in. Well, procurement did the same. Procurement did the same with procurement processes and procedures. So we centralized the procurement of all goods and services. We hired professional contract specialists from federal agencies like Lisa from the Postal Service that had more structured procurement processes and procedures. The first thing that I wanted to do was implement a brand new purchase card program. I know this is near and dear to Scott's heart. He doesn't like the purchase card program. However, I don't think the company could run without it. We automated the purchase card program. We issued a policy. We're actually using the state of Connecticut's purchase card program as one of the municipalities that uses it, which allowed us to completely automate the process. We have a little over 100 cardholders. They make purchases under $2,500. We have a complete approval process, reconciliation process, and it's managed by our procurement department, our procurement specialist. It greatly reduced small dollar purchase orders. Purchase orders cost from the start of a requisition to the payment of a purchase order through our system and with all the labor, it's estimated to be cost us about $100 per purchase order, right? Just in labor time, just in admin support. A purchase card purchase is point of sale. We upload the receipts, we audit them, we manage them, and we reconcile it to the credit card payment each month, and it saves a tremendous amount of time across the organization, and we get what we need when we need it. We also established new procurement ordinances within our procurement ordinances for streamlining solicitation of commercial items, giving us the authority to allow for a single or sole source when we need to purchase only from one source. Prior to that, we didn't have that direct authority, and it really hindered us because we have a lot of equipment that needs to be replaced, and it has to be that equipment. So we gave ourselves, through an ordinance, that authority when it warrants it, and we also had a new ordinance for the ratification of unauthorized commitments. We commissioned a video in 2016 for our vendors and contractors entitled How to Do Business with the MDC. This is going to greatly streamline our procurement presentation by sharing that video with you. It's about 4 minutes, and it really goes through how contractors can do business with us and what the requirements are, and I think it's worth watching. We commissioned it in 2016. I actually had an intern that helped us put it together one summer, and we used an outside contractor, and it was an excellent way to get information out to our contractors. It's on our website today, and without further ado, I wanted to share that, and then Lisa will pick up and discuss, Lisa Madison, more on the procurement department.
From the beginning, water has been the source of life, and it remains as vital to the quality of our modern lives as it has ever been. The Metropolitan District is a nonprofit municipal corporation chartered by the state of Connecticut in 1929 with the mission to provide safe, pure drinking water and state-of-the-art water treatment and sewer services to the greater Hartford region. The Procurement Department is the pipeline to all goods and services necessary for the district to fulfill this mission. We continue to improve our purchasing policies and procedures to make it easier for you to do business with us. We're all about smarter business processes, faster turnaround times, and saving our operating dollars. We rely on a diverse supplier base as we procure over $100 million in goods and services each year. That's everything from office supplies to automobiles and lab equipment. to construction projects on our facilities' water and sewer lines, and goods and services supporting our over $2 billion clean water project. Just like anyone else, we can buy small purchases on an as-needed basis with a credit card. But for larger dollar value goods and services, we can access existing authorized contracts from the State of Connecticut Department of Administrative Services and Federal General Services Administration supply schedules that are available to us. As a potential vendor to the district, you should watch for contracting opportunities with these state and federal agencies. It's another way we can do business with you. For goods and services that are not available under authorized state or federal contracts, we contract through an open and competitive public bidding process. Our Procureware online procurement portal allows you to view and download our solicitations, including bid and request for proposal or request for qualification packages. New solicitations and requirements are posted frequently. The Procureware website allows companies to register, view, and download our current business opportunities. Our Procureware system connects you to MDC procurement training materials and notifies you of new requirements applicable to your type of business. Through Procureware, we also provide you with updates on opportunities to meet with our staff as well as upcoming conferences. Construction contracts are most often awarded to the lowest priced, responsible bidder. For that reason, extensive documentation is required from each bidder to ensure that they are qualified and have the resources to perform the work. We need assurances that bidders are bonded, certified, and prepared to meet all the applicable district, state, and/or federal agency requirements. To make the process easier to understand, we have posted current standard project manuals in the Documents section of our Procureware. It is crucial that prospective construction bidders familiarize themselves with these district construction specifications and requirements. Each document bid package will also include special provisions identifying any deviations from the standard project manual. We want to contract with a diverse supplier base as well as support Connecticut's small businesses. Our goal is to spend 25% of our eligible purchasing dollars with state-certified small business enterprises. Our construction projects often require prime contractors to set aside a percentage of subcontracting dollars for minority-owned or women-owned businesses or small businesses from the district's member towns. Every solicitation will clearly identify its prime and subcontracting set-aside requirements. We want to work with you. While our requirements may seem overwhelming at first, the potential reward to contractors who learn the bidding process and provide outstanding service make it worth contracting with us. We value spending our dollars wisely and partnering with a diverse supplier base. Our procurement department is available to help you get started. We look forward to learning about your business and how you can help us to continue to successfully support our customers.
Yes, sir.
Last brief question.
Okay.
Processing of payments to contractors. And can you tell me when you receive the bill to when they get the check, how long does it
About
take?
6 months.
No.
Kidding, just kidding.
So we have 30-day payment terms from the point that the payment application from construction contractors is submitted to the district to the point in which we make payment. So there are some contracts that have payment terms that are a little longer. With our clean water project, our tunnel project, for instance, have 45-day payment terms. But once they submit a payment application, which they do on a monthly basis for all of our open construction projects, once it's signed as approved by the construction manager, which might take a few days back and forth, it's 30 days from then.
That's actual, that's a requirement.
Well, our payment terms are required. Sometimes it takes a little time to get agreement on the payment application, but once we receive that payment application and it's approved by our project manager, engineer, it's 30 days.
Mr. Chairman?
Hold on. Good.
Actually cost the money to us immediately.
Correct, we agree.
These contractors were not willing to bid our job because it takes too long.
Correct.
And when in my past work, I used to depend on my staff
Yes.
to move that faster at every level, engineers to finance people, make sure that we pay as soon as possible.
We agree, 100%.
Commissioner Adel, was that you?
Yes, that was. Thank you. In the video, it says something, and I apologize. I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines that the procurement process may seem difficult. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can. So what we have posted on our Procureware site is manuals that we have to post for all the terms and conditions for our construction contractors to comply with. And when we do a state-funded project, we have additional DPH or DEEP requirements that we also have to include. So it can look overwhelming, and that's why we offer to help them to get started. Many of our contractors in the construction industry start as subcontractors to primes who are used to working with us, and we graduate them many times to becoming a prime themselves. So it's just a little overwhelming when they see some of the manuals and requirements, but I wouldn't say our procurement process is as overwhelming as the terms and conditions they have to comply with to bid.
And just a quick follow-up, that's a great question. I've answered. Thank you. Is what would be typically a length of time someone would need to be acquainted with those procedures?
I think once they've gone through the process, once once they've read the manuals and standards, Chris, I'm going to defer to you. Like, our contractors typically, if they start as subcontractors, they learn the terms through their prime. So I would say one or two. We go with the low bidder for our construction projects, so they also have to be the low bidder at the end of the day. But I think one or two times going through the process, it won't be as overwhelming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else?
Lisa?
Okay, good evening. All right, so you'll see on the slide, the procurement department currently is a staff of 7 positions. In the year 2022, the team processed 3,810 purchase orders, 26 new contracts, and administered approximately 120 active supply, services, and construction contracts. This is the district's procurement team. We have 3 contract specialists, 1 compliance analyst, and 2 procurement specialists. Currently, we're actively recruiting for 2 open positions. 1 is a contract specialist and 1 procurement specialist. We hope to hire at least 1 of these positions internally. And as you can see, our staff is designed to follow a succession plan. What do we buy? Procurement buys everything to support every department at the district. For the operating budgets, professional consulting, we work with finance, IT, SAP, stock materials for facilities, chemicals for plants on both sides, the water supply and water treatment, software system maintenance to maintain SAP as well as the upgrades. For the capital purchases, these are substantial purchases for engineering and design services, construction software, IT hardware, and the fleet vehicles and equipment. Procurement methods, these are the different ways that we procure for the district. Purchase card purchases, these are small dollar purchases. $2,500 is the standard limit per transaction. We utilize the state of Connecticut's contracts and consortium contracts. We try to purchase as much as we can through these contracts, and we follow their contract rules. The next one is public bidding. When we can't utilize the P card or state contract, we process through public bidding, and that's where we use our Procureware, RFP for services, or an RFQP or ITB for invitation to bid for construction. And as a last resort, we utilize the sole source. This process, we document a justification and contract directly with the vendor. This is rare and accounts for about 5% of our procurements. Procuring goods and services, if we get a request for under $25,000, we get a vendor quote. We do an SAP purchase requisition and a confirming purchase order. If the request is for over $25,000, we have to solicit publicly. So we go through our Procureware, our DAS website, and the Hartford Courant is where we publicize the three ways. We award the contract, process the requisition, and then we do a confirming purchase order. The district's internal bidding system, which is Procureware. This is a competitive public bidding site. All solicited contracts are posted on Procureware. All vendors need to be registered on Procureware to view the solicitation. This falls on our contract compliance analyst and our contract specialists. We work with DEP, DPH-funded projects. We ensure that the correct clauses are in our contracts, administer certified payroll, perform compliance site visits, prepare to be ready for audits. We also attend seminars and training for new state and federal requirements. Revenue-related procurements is our timber sales, and we estimate about $140,000 per harvest. The surplus auctions, we coordinate with maintenance department to auction surplus and equipment. And our purchase card. The district utilizes the state of Connecticut plan, averaged about $35,000 per year. In rebates. Okay, and so I'm going to introduce Kim Haynes, our manager of customer service.
Good evening. With time constraints, I just want to pass this out. I will be speaking to this shortly in my presentation, but just so we have a visual of where I'm going.
Yeah, you do it, Kim.
What's that? Standards for the police academy. He's freaking out. Poor kid.
Got it? Okay. Well, again, I'm Kimberly Haynes, and I just wanted to bring some attention to, for some of you who's been here, or maybe not, maybe Lisa has been here just as long as I. That was the customer team back in 1993. And today, this is my team. Here is half of my team. We did downsize. But one thing I do like to mention, regardless of how many upgrades, we have always been able to get the bills out. So, with further ado, customer service, we handle all the calls that come into the district, customer calls regarding billing issues, mailing issues. We update the ownership, process change of ownerships in the customer service area, so we deal strictly with attorneys. We handle mail services now in the customer service area. Billing, we process all the monthly bills. Billing, they analyze the accounts, create new billing accounts, schedule customer appointments. We assist Treasury with processing and calculating leak adjustments. And we do work closely with the utility services and meter department as far as making sure we are able to get actual reads. When we schedule appointments, we really rely on them. As far as for billing, in 2017, we used to have 63 quarterly billing cycles. In 2017, we changed from quarterly to monthly billing for all our customers. And this was done without even having to increase our staffing size. And we bill approximately 111 customers per month. And as you can see, over the years, I passed a sheet around with the evolution of our bills. You know, back in 1999, we had a one-page bill. And then we implemented SAP back in 1999, and you can see that bill in the middle was not the best bill. It didn't have a lot of information for the customers, so we received a lot of calls explaining what does this mean, where was my payment, because that was not captured. Fast forward till today, on the bills you can see we have when the readings, how much you paid, late fees, other related charges, such as someone mentioned earlier, which is SD bills. A lot of those charges built in SD, so it can roll over to the customer's invoice. Now they can see all the charges that they got billed for prior. The estimated bills is one thing that was, could you just go to one more slide behind that with the, that shows, go backwards, forward, I'm sorry. One more. This style right here. MDC, back in 1999, we was a very manual company. Our meter reads was read manually. Our customers were reading meters. We did not have any automation at this time. The field staff, I think at the time I came here, we probably had maybe about 8 meter readers. These guys actually walked from house to house to read the meters manually. And then the readings was entered, sent back to the office where we had a data entry clerk who manually entered the readings in. Then we had the customers. We used to mail the cards to the customers, and they would read their own meters. Then they would send them back to us, and then someone in the office at the time, I was a clerk, and it was my job to actually read what the customers put on the card and then enter it into the system for billing. So with all this being said, we went from manual, we went to a phone system where at the time it may have been a good idea, but when people changed their phone system, we had no access to the meters. So our estimations went back up. And then now we have the radio frequency program, and over the years, our estimation rate has drastically dropped. We were at plus or minus 20,000 estimated accounts, and now we're under 1,000, roughly like a little over 700 or less that we actually estimating. And working with operations, we trying to work to get those down as well. So right here, in 2014, we partnered with our online third-party administrator, Kubra. And at that time there, it was a challenge, but I do have my staff who was able to be technical support. So when the customers had issues trying to log on to Kubra, they would call customer service. We would walk them through to help assist the customers on logging on. And this was something that actually was a benefit to the company, because now customers was able to go online. They can almost schedule when they want their bill to be paid. They had the options of, say, as soon as your bill arrives, the due date, 5 days before the due date. So they did have that flexibility of when the payments can come in and make sure it got here on time. So that was something that we really had to work with, and it's working, it's getting better. And the billing staff right now, we have, when the readings are read, the way it goes right now, the field staff go out there, read the meters, they upload it, and then when it comes back into SAP, the billing staff receive an implausible list. And someone asked this before, when the readings come in, the implausible list is the exceptions. So if you show a high increase in usage, there will be an implausible list. So that means that billing staff would need to review that account to see why that usage was so high. And in cases here, they would generate a notification that's sent out to the field staff to investigate why this consumption is high. Currently, right now, we've been a little bit more proactive to say, okay, when they see these high consumptions, to reach out to the customer because they may have a leak that they're not aware of. And instead of waiting for the bill to arrive and a customer to call us, we try to call a customer and try to get them heads up, maybe it's something they need to address right now. And right now, we schedule a lot of the appointments, and some of these appointments, we want them to be home, and we try to get the contacts, because a lot of times customers will say, how come you never notified us that I had a high bill, or my bill was estimated? On all our invoices, if we're not able to read a customer bill, there's a message that states that the bill is being estimated and for the customers to contact us. Sometimes the customers think that it should be solely on MDC to contact them, but a lot of times we don't have the correct phone numbers, so we try to encourage the customers like to read your meter or read your phone, you read your bill because the message is there that is estimated. You know, you get some excuses where I didn't understood what that mean. Well, you kind of have to say, read your bill and understand it's in bold red. And right now, we do also, with the customer service, we average about over 5,000 calls per month. And we also process emails. Emails was probably introduced. We didn't always have an email bucket for customers to email customer service. Today we do, and I believe that was entered back around 2014 as well, where customers can email into customer service and we can respond through email. And our phone right now is integrated with the SAP system, so when a customer calls in, you will get a phone pop, so you may have some of the customer's information so that you can have their account number ready to review. And right now, we do support, we have mail services, so we actually support all departments with their mail services internally, and we also take our mail to the post office, so we also handle that in our customer service. We do assist with the mailing addresses, well, they update the mailing addresses because we do get an alert from Cooper as well when we have, or the return mail, that we do try to update customers' phone numbers. Sometimes they have a service address, but the mail needs to go someplace else. We update the mailing address. We schedule appointments, and we also try to educate customers as far as with leaks. And that's why I passed that tablets around, because a lot of times we don't necessarily need to go to a customer's property to, when they complain about a bill. It's just a simple, just drop the tablet in the toilet tank and just do not flush the toilet, and then if the color comes through the bowl, you have a leak in your toilet. Some customers will be so quick to say there must be something wrong with the meter, and it's not the meter. We try to give them some kind, or educate them on where to look for leaks within their home. And instead of us having to have a guy go out there to say, that's your toilet running, and this is what it is. And a lot of, because before when they see these large bills, it's always the meter, we try to encourage them it's not the meter. So we try to educate them on where to look for leaks and how to conserve water. And when it comes to tenant situations where a tenant do not allow the owner into their property or their unit, a lot of times I will speak with the landlord, and say sometimes you need to monitor your usage, what's going on your own property. That's not an MDC responsibility, where I would just like encourage you to go to the property, take a reading yourself, go back the next week, and then you can get an idea of what type of consumption is being used at that residence. Because sometimes just because your tenants say they may not be using water, you know, they have to take some responsibility themselves. So we do try to educate them. And now, here I'm going to introduce Patrick Hogan. He's been with the district for 10 years, and he's been part of the BET project when it first started back in 2017, I believe. And now he's on the continuing project, and he's actually been a very good asset to make sure that when we open those tickets, that those tickets get completed. And I also want to mention one other person, which is Jackie L. Haysham over there. She's the supervisor for customer service. Now, without her, she is the person who does most of the testing. So when these new tickets come up and things need to be done or tested before we move it into our production system, Jackie is the one that's doing a lot of the testing. So I just want to give her kudos for that. And now Pat will take us to the future of customer service.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you all. This slide is an important slide. Like Scott began at the beginning of the meeting, that process is very important. And part of BT was really going through this meter to cash process. And it involves a lot of work streams that presented today. So basically, for managing the business partner, that's going to be our customer service department and utility services department. And then as the customer evolves, operations provides the readings, IT provides the interface for the reads to come through, for billing to review, and then this may come back to customer service, where we have to manage the calls that come in, the emails that come in, and if the customer's satisfied and wants to pay the bill, then it goes to the next step, which is the manage of the incoming payments. And that's FICA that collects the payments, and finance that would then ultimately, the end of the process, where it gets posted to the GL. I thought this was a good slide to represent because it shows how integrated all of the work streams are, and that's very important as part of undertaking any sort of SAP project. Moving on to go live of 2020, the new system accomplishments at the top. Kim did touch to this. It was the complete rework of the bill. This included new mapping and configuration. Any notice can be displayed on the bill by our communications department, whether that's in regards to shut-off or any work that announcements for utility services. It provides a graph, and it's very easy to read. So that was a big accomplishment for us. The next one was business partner consolidation. We were able to take our data in the old system and then not only clean it, but map it up. So then we have now in the new system one customer with multiple properties. So this helps with our customer service reps that take the call that a landlord that owns 7 properties, you're easily able to navigate through our front office system. What's the balance on here? What are the work orders associated with this this customer? And it almost provides a 360 view. That's what we're always the goal of this. The next item is DQM. That is address validation to U.S. postal standards. This is a great tool that we implemented as part of CRB. Basically, when we update mailing addresses, it checks, it verifies based on the postal service. And also, there's no misspellings in the older system. The town of Weathersfield could have been spelt many different ways. In the new system, there are no misspellings, so it's a good tool to have in our back pocket. Alert management, that's for when a customer calls and we confirm the business partner. There is a pop. Okay, this customer is estimated, and that would prompt the customer service rep to schedule a meter change. Or if this customer is with a collection attorney, that way when we transfer a call, it's easier for when calls come in back to back to back. So having these phone pops really alerts really help with that. The move and move out process, we do process a lot of move and move outs. Some months are heavy, some months are light. These are our new customers, and we provide final bills to closing attorneys for that. Part of BT, we actually redid the whole process to get it done under a minute. So it's much faster for one person to process all of the final bills and the new ownerships for the new customer. We also integrated open text in both the 2 aspects, the business partner and also on the premise level. Basically what that is, it's a document repository. We use it for a lot of our current processes. That's refunds, that's escheatment, and we're currently working on for any notices that get sent out to customers. So we can save that document, whatever the document is, we can save it into the front office of that customer so any department can see that and view that. Moving on to continuous improvement, those are our current projects. A lot of focus was done in regards to the premise type. Every property that's in our system, we have gone through and searched what kind of property it is. Is it a single family? Is it residential, commercial? This helps our billing department. It helps credit and collection. So there was a large effort that was done. And we've actually brought that to a point where it's automated, and any changes that may reflect for the billing department, we get an exception that gives a report, an email report for a person to go in and say, hey, we need to look at this, what's going on, why did the property change? So a lot of the continuous improvement is geared towards automation and exceptions in management. And lastly, for the future, we want to engage the customer more. We want to have some sort of portal, some sort of a way for the customer to reach out for any type of service request that they may need. We looked into possibility of an app, and also we would like to update the front office for our customer service reps, which would be for a new platform.
Any questions for customer service?
Commissioner Van Dyke.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a few questions, like if somebody, does anybody ever walk into the customer service office to pay their bill anymore?
No.
Okay, and so we don't have the location on Franklin Avenue anymore, correct?
That was not, that wasn't a customer service.
Yeah.
Is that gone completely?
Well, so that was for construction outreach, right? So.
Oh, but didn't we have a little office right there next to Padula's?
Yes, but that was for construction outreach, not for customer service.
Okay, so we didn't own that property?
No, we did, we were renting that property.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure, I didn't know if that was customer service, I didn't know if people could walk in there and pay
Yes.
their bills as well.
Correct, and we actually, as part of COVID, we, like everyone, we closed customer service to the public, and like everyone realized.
We don't need to do that anymore.
We don't need people coming into customer service, so, again, you know, COVID taught us a lot, and we benefited from it.
And my last question is, in customer service, do we have, when people are making calls and stuff like that, do we have kind of scripts or kind of answers if people are asking certain questions, so everybody who's answering phones are kind of following the same kind of answers?
Well, we try to develop strips and keep them to it, and then one conversation, it may start off all the same, but then you have to be able to.
Of course.
Don't stick with the script if the conversations go off script. You got to be able to support the customers and answer the questions and not just say, well, I got to say this, you keep repeating the same thing. You can kind of irritate the customer, so you have to be able to stay on script, but then answer the questions. Another thing, I just want to answer your question, we do have options where customers can go to CVS, Dollar General, and Family Dollar to make their payments as well. If they just walk with their bill, they can pay in those locations.
Is there a cost to us to have that happen?
I think that's a $1.95 cost as well.
That's
for the customers.
The $1.95 is the cost to the customer?
Yes.
Do we have any percentage about what number of our bills are paid that way?
Yes, it's actually in Scott's CEO report every month. We provide, it's it's not that much money yet. It's probably about $30,000 a month.
Just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Quick question.
$20,468.
I'll catch that next time. I apologize. I didn't see it, sorry.
Do you have reps who speak Spanish?
No, but we do have a third-party language service that we do. If they need help with speaking Spanish, we will call that number and get some assistance, like a translator.
Also, if the customer wants to pay over the phone, they have an automated phone line which offers Spanish as well.
Any other questions? Okay.
So without going off on, tangents time and again, we would have been done at 6, but 6:25 I will take all day. There was a lot of information provided. I just wanted to wrap up, thank the staff for being here. Those that didn't even speak wanted to be here as part of the BET team to support their coworkers. management's focus, hopefully you got the impression that we're all about business process improvement, enhancing our customer support and service, and succession planning for the future of the district. We've had many accomplishments over the past decade, but the most impactful was the re-implementation of SAP. I hope you understand from everybody that spoke, and I even skipped a slide on procurement processes because I know everybody's, it's a lot of information, but we are constantly working on enhancements and updates, and our staff just does a tremendous job on their part-time job while still conducting their full-time job, their regular job during the day. So we're just continuously planning to enhance our SAP functionality. And this concludes our presentation tonight. We're looking forward to the final management study presentation in a couple of weeks, where Bob Schwarm and Jamie Harlow will share both IT and HR support to the district. So thank you.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, just want to say that this group, like engineering, like operations, has come so far. And I'm going to use a real example. And these are the same people that were here, 10 years ago. In 2008, I had just as the COO, I had taken over customer service. And prior to taking over customer service, we would make fun of customer service because they did what? Right? But then when I took over customer service in 2008, I said to my staff, it's not funny anymore. Now, I don't know. The IT department used to print our bills. The IT department, we had about 30,000 bills that did not go out in West Hartford and whatever group that was. I went to IT and said, what happened? They said, we ran out of envelopes. And I said, why don't you order envelopes? Well, we don't have enough room to store them. And I said, then order them every day, because bills go out every day. And if you don't send a bill out, there's no collection. I'm telling you, the amount of work that is represented here, I can't express to you how much improvement they have done by themselves through leadership and support from not just myself and Kelly and Bob and all the staff, all the managers, but promoting the people that knew how. Kim started as a clerk, right? As a clerk, and she's the manager. She understood what needed to be fixed, instead of someone saying, as I said before, SAP was implemented in 1999. The staff that managed the implementation in 1999 went down to Debbie Levesque, who is in that picture, and Debbie Levesque was the administrator of customer service, and they said, we're implementing SAP, and they've never asked Debbie Levesque of her input in SAP, the improvements. Imagine that day and that week and that month and that year, how messed up MDC customer service was. So kudos to all of you. Great job. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. And out of all the presentations, this is the best show and tell I've seen so far. Any other questions? All right, well, let's move on to opportunity for general public comments.
Great job.
Yes. Very good. Well, with that,
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn.
sold.
Thanks, everybody.